What's up everyone, dannylightning back with another video. So color correction or color grading in nodes in DaVinci Resolve. We're going to make this so easy to understand for a simple color grade or color correction. Even a caveman will understand it after you watch this video. So we are going to look at how to adjust each color individually, how to sharpen your eyes, how to get perfect skin tones. I'll make a chapter for each one of these things as we go, but we're going to cover a whole bunch of different things and give you a really basic rundown crash course so you'll have an awesome idea of how to color grade your videos on DaVinci Resolve and get them looking awesome. All right, so go ahead and get your video clip on the Resolve, and then we're going to come over here to where you see this little thing on the bottom, the little color wheel, right? Click on that, and this is going to take us to the spot where we adjust our colors. Now, over here, you're going to see nodes, and the nodes confuse the heck out of almost everybody at first, but I'm going to make this so simple, it's not even funny. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure the nodes box up here is checked. If not, you're not going to see those. So check nodes. And now once this is open, right click, add node, corrector, drag it down here. Right click, add node, corrector, drag it down here. Right click, add node, corrector, drag it down here. I'm going to make these nodes so easy to understand, a caveman will be able to figure this out. So we're just going to make a bunch. We're probably not going to use all of these, but we're going to put them down there just in case we need them. So the first thing you need to realize is the very first node here, when you make any adjustments, it's going to adjust every single thing on the photo. So first thing I want to do is make sure my blacks are black. So let's go look at something that's black. And if they don't look quite black, we're going to go ahead and adjust it. So you're going to see your scopes down here. The first thing I do is I change this over here to parade. And what I want to see is we want to see this very line on 0. We want the bottom of those things to be right on the line. So it's a little bit off. I'm going to go ahead and move that down just a tiny bit. So you can see most of the bottom of that is touching the 0 line, which means the blacks are now black. So we got our exposure done pretty good. So you got your offset. So if you click this here and you drag this, this will completely do the entire exposure. If you mess something up, just click the little reset. Next, we got a wheel for highlights. You can grab this little thing here and move this around to change the highlights. You got your midtones, which are basically your skin tones. And then you got your shadows, which, you know, those are the shadows. That's pretty self-explanatory. So we're using the very first node to adjust the exposure, get the image looking decent, play around with the controls until you get a nice overall look. Now we're going to adjust each color individually. We'll adjust our skin separately and everything else using nodes. But we got our first node done, right? So the next thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and grab a node. We're going to bring it up here and we're going to wait till that yellow line turns yellow and we're going to let go. We're going to use this node to adjust the purple colors. So let's go ahead and make sure this node is selected. And we're going to click this little eyedropper right here. We're going to go ahead and click on this guy. And let's just go ahead and select the purple color. So let's go ahead and click on purple. Now you're going to see this little thing up here. It's like a little circle. Click on that and you're going to be able to see what it selected. And it selected a lot of stuff right there. So if we want to hit Control Z, that will undo our selection. So let's try again with the purple. And then we'll go ahead and hit this. And it did not select as much stuff, right? So now that's a little bit better. We're not adjusting all the stuff we just saw. We're only going to adjust what shows up here. So right now I'm going to click the little plus button on the dropper right where my mouse is. And I'm going to try and select some more of these purples without getting too much of the background. Okay, we're going to hit Control Z. That was too much. We're going to go ahead and just fill some of these in. And there we go. That's pretty good. It did select a little bit of other stuff. Let's go ahead and hit Control Z one more time. We don't want too much of the background, so we'll just go with that. So now we're going to uncheck this little box so we can see everything. Now we're going to come back to the color wheels over here. And I'm going to adjust the saturation. Now this node is only going to adjust the purple colors because I've selected purple. If I want, I can mess with the highlights to give it a little, make that pop up, pop out a little bit more, the midtones. I think that looks pretty cool. So make sure you're paying attention to the purple right in here where you can see that mouse moving because that's currently what we're adjusting. Now, if you scroll your mouse wheel, You can move in and out. If you middle click the mouse wheel, you can drag your photo. So we're looking at the purples, right? So we're just going to try and make those purples really pop. I think that looks pretty good right there. We got the saturation on 80. So now the purples look much cooler. So now we're going to go ahead and grab another node down here. We're going to drag it up to that line turns yellow and let go. And we're going to use this node to select the blue color. So we're going to go ahead and grab our dropper. So basically each node is just going to correct a different color. It's simple. It's super simple. So let's go ahead and grab the dropper. We're going to click on the blues. Now we're going to come up here to this little symbol right here, and we're going to click on that. We can see it didn't select all of the blue colors. So let's unclick that. We're going to grab the little plus dropper down here, and we're just going to click away on the different blue colors, right? We'll click over here, we'll click down here. Anywhere there's like some different shades of blue, click on that. So let's go ahead and click on this again. So we can see we got a lot more of the blue colors in there, right? So that's what we want. So unselect that. Come back over here to the color wheels. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the saturation, and I'm going to boost that up a little bit. We're going to make those blue colors just stand out and pop. So you can mess with the shadows if you want. You can see if you don't get the shadows right, it's not going to blend in properly. So let's go ahead and zoom in. We're going to click the middle mouse button. We're going to come up here, and we're going to pay really good attention to where the whites and the whites and the blues intersect. We're going to use that shadow slider, and if it's off, sometimes it will just not blend properly. So right now that shadow slider is not doing much, so we've already got a good blend, so we're not going to have to worry about that. So now let's go ahead and grab one more node. We're going to pull it up here, and we're going to use this node here to correct our red color. So let's go ahead and grab our dropper right here. We are going to go ahead and click on the reds. Let's click on this little button up here that says I guess that says highlight. I don't know why it's called highlight, but it shows you which colors you've selected. And we got a lot of the reds. Let's try and grab our little plus dropper here to add a few more red tones. And that's starting to get a little bit of my face, so we're going to hit Control Z. I don't really want my face to be lit up, so we're just going to go with this part here. These red shades are what's going to get adjusted. We're going to unclick this. Let's go back to the color wheels. We'll go ahead and move our red saturation up just a little bit. That looks pretty nice. So now I think we need to adjust our skin tones. So we're going to go from parade down here where the scopes are. We're going to change that from parade to vectroscope. Now we're going to grab our next node. We're going to drag it up here, wait for that line to turn yellow, let go. We're going to make sure this node is currently selected. We're going to come back here. We're going to grab our eyedropper, and now we're going to select our skin tones. Now, this is very important to make sure you get enough of the skin tone. So we're going to go ahead and click this little guy, and we can see most of my skin tones are not selected. So we're going to go ahead and grab the little plus dropper. Bam, bam. We want to get as many of those skin tones in there as possible. So we're just going to keep clicking like crazy until the majority of my face is lit up. Now, the other side of my face has shadows on it, so that's why that one's not showing up. We don't really want to adjust the part of the face with the shadows. We want to adjust the part of the face that does not have the shadows. So look at the little scope down here. You're going to see this little flesh colored line. You want that to be right on the line. So it looks like we've got a little bit too much red on our skin. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to grab this little thing here that looks like a hexagon where my mouse is. I'm going to click on that. I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to drag this over a couple notches. And you're going to see that's now pretty much right on the line. It was a little bit to the left. Now it's right on the line. When that's on the line, that means we should have a very, very good skin tone. And you can't always go by what you see on your monitor because your monitor may not be color corrected well. So according to that, we now have good skin tones, right? We should have really good, perfect skin tones at the moment. And now if we want, we can go back to the color wheels. Let's just say our skin looks a little bit too bright. We're going to go ahead and grab the shadows. We're going to give it some more shadows. So we're going to make the shadows a little more shadowy. Let's go ahead and grab the offset. We can turn that down. So that can make our whole face darker or brighter depending on the look you want. If we grab the highlights, we can make the, we can make the highlights pop a little bit if we want to. Let's go ahead and just zoom in right on our face because that's what we're adjusting. And that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and play with the midtones. That looks pretty nice. Now, if we want to make our skin softer, like if you've got a bunch of blemishes or something, make sure you're selecting the node that we actually did the skin tones on because it only adjusts whatever you have selected on that node. Now we can find the mid detail, which is this little guy down here. So click that and move it left or right. If we move it to the left, it's going to smooth our skin out. So if we have like pimples or blemishes or anything, we can make our skin look really smooth. But of course, if you overdo it, you're going to look like some sort of weird piece of plastic. If you go the other way, it's going to sharpen it like crazy and make you look awful. So moving this just like a little teeny bit to smooth the skin is sometimes kind of nice if you want. Now, our skin looks maybe like it's got a little bit too much saturation. We can turn the saturation down. And right there, to me, that looks pretty natural right there. So we just adjusted our skin. Now, this is what the picture looked like before, and this is after. So in my opinion, that's a pretty good improvement. The colors pop better. My skin tones look a little bit more natural for the most part. There's not as much red in my face. You can see there's a lot more red in my face. And when I click this, it totally changes my skin tones. And on my particular monitor, this looks a little bit too yellow. But according to the little scope here, when we have this selected, so we're just seeing the skin tones, we're currently dead on to a perfect skin tone. So I'm going to go by this and not by what I actually see on my monitor. Now let's just say we want to grade some yellows. We put a new node up there. We grab the little color dropper. We select the yellows. We go back to the color wheels. I mean, it's the same thing over and over. Now the yellows are going to pop. You can see those yellows right there just got cranked up really high. So now let's show you guys a little bit of something else. So you've got these little things here, right? Let's go and just select the entire. Let's just go and select the entire photo. So we want to grab the node that is set up to adjust everything. So let's just say what you want to do is maybe put some blue teal colors into the shadows. We'll grab this little thing here where the shadow slider is. We'll grab this little dot here and we can move this over. And this is going to give like all the shadows like a blue tint. A lot of people like that teal and orange look. That's kind of how you get that is by adjusting some of these sliders. And that gives it a completely different look. You can put the different colors for the midtones. You can play around with these. Normally, I don't mess with these. Normally, I leave the the little color things, that gives you blue, that gives you red, whatever. You can get some really crazy looks by adjusting all this stuff here. And I'll show you something really interesting. Let's just go ahead and reset all of these back to where they were a minute ago, which undid the majority of our stuff here, which is kind of what we want for this one. But let's just say we want to do, I'm going to show you guys one last thing. Let me just move these nodes out of the way. We're done adjusting these, so I'm just going to move them over. We're going to grab our last node. We're going to let go of that. We're going to go ahead and select our skin again. Let's grab the dropper. We want to get our skin. So let's make sure that it is all selected. All right, we got our, whoops, I need to grab the plus dropper. I'm sorry. Let's grab the plus dropper, get our skin all selected. And what we want to do right now is adjust, ooh, that's too much. Control Z. Control Z. All right, that's good. Now we are going to invert our colors. So you click this little guy right here to invert the colors. So that means this node is going to adjust everything but our skin tone. So let's go back to the color wheels. Let's just say I want to get that teal and orange look. So I can go ahead and just drag this here and I can move this over to the teal color. So it's going to give the entire background a teal color, but it's not going to give my skin tone the teal color. So let's unselect this to see what this looks like, right? It's going to adjust everything but my skin tone. My skin's always going to stay the same color, but everything else is going to get corrected a little bit. So this is a way to get some really creative looks on the resolve, if you want it. So that actually looks pretty cool. I mean, some people would probably really like that look right there. The colors are vibrant, they pop, you get that teal and orange look. So let's go back to our node right here where we actually have it to adjust our face. Maybe now we want to add a little bit more saturation to our face. We want to be super Oompa Loompa color, or we want to be black and white. But we can adjust just the right amount of saturation. So once you've finished, you got the overall look that you want. I always come back to the face at that point and get the face. Whoops, I accidentally clicked it. So Control Z to undo that. What I wanted to do was right middle mouse click so I can move this around. So right now we just really want to get the right amount of saturation on our skin. That looks pretty good. Let's mess with the highlights a little bit. All right, shadows. And that's okay right there. Color boost, no thank you. We're going to put that back to 0. So I'm going to just click that, highlight it, hit 0. No, not 90, 0. Get that back to normal. We can get a little more sharpening there. But you can play around with this stuff for hours until you get the look that you want. I mean, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, nobody's going to want that look, but, you know, it's there if you want it. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. Let's just say you don't think your eyes are sharp enough. So we're going to go ahead and back and click the main node that's going to adjust everything. So I'm going to come over here and click on this little guy right here. I'm going to click on the circle. I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller, and we're going to put this right over our eye. We can put this right over our eye if we want, right? So what we're going to do here is get it real close to the eye. We are going to zoom in. We are going to click on this little guy right here with these triangles. And this is going to sharpen, you know, this will sharpen the selection we just had. So now our eye is a little bit sharper. And we can also, you know, go back to the color wheels. And since we have that selected, we can probably boost the saturation on our eye if we want the eyes to be a little bit brighter or something. So you can see my eye really stands out right now. When you get some little weirdness up here on the eyelids, but once you're zoomed out, you're probably never going to notice that. But that will make your eyes pop. So bottom line is, there's my crazy basic course on color grading. So there's the before. There's the after, right? And this isn't even perfect. I'm just kind of loosely throwing this around just to show you the stuff. So, I mean, you could spend hours and hours and hours on this to get everything just perfect, but that's kind of how we do it. I think that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope this was helpful. I tried not to go into too much detail. I mean, I know it's a long video, but we covered a lot of different stuff. But as far as explaining how it works, hopefully this made it super simple and easy to understand. There's way more controls and things you can do, but this is just a very, very, very basics. This is just to get you to understand the basics and how the basics works. With just this stuff here that I've showed you, you can get a really awesome, really amazing color grade. You know, it takes a little bit of practice, but you will get the hang of it. All right? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. You guys are amazing. Lightning out. See ya.